Batman v Superman is finally here. Possibly the most hyped movie since the Avengers, this movie shouldered with a ton, including the launch of DC's cinematic universe, as well as being a sequel to Man of Steel. I wasn't the biggest fan of Man of Steel, but after the Nolan trilogy of Batman films, I was overjoyed to hear Nolan would be stepping in to help helm the next step for DC movies. I was excited to see Superman from a new and, dare I say it, gritty point of view. However, for me, Man of Steel didn't do this, and it in fact displayed many parts of his essential character in completely new ways. He wasn't a symbol of hope. He didn't really fight for truth or justice, and he didn't seem to care who or what was destroyed around him. I ended up leaving the theater disappointed since we were now stuck with this pouty, punch first, save people never Superman. Then came a curveball. They chose to forego a Superman sequel because Batman, of course. The money cow that DC will milk till he's dry, till he's all out of bat milk. As soon as the words were uttered, Batman was immediately the star of the movie that should have given us more time to get to know Henry Cavill's Superman. But with mixed reactions to their first Superman film and no other characters established in their movie universe, they decided to go ahead and skip right to the end of Phase 1 and make an Avengers movie. An ambitious, if not ludicrous plan they hoped would be the shortcut they needed to catch back up with Marvel Studios. And hey, while they're at it, why not toss in a little Wonder Woman, a little Aquaman, maybe some Cyborg? Hey, how about Lex Luthor? Hope you like him with hair. Doomsday? Nope, he doesn't talk. And the Flash? They can do it. Zack Snyder can do this, right? Well, regardless of if he can or can't, let's go ahead and get into my review of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. BVS starts out great, showing the destruction of Metropolis from Bruce Wayne's point of view. The scene was thrilling, it set up his motivation and his beef towards Superman so well. But as is true with most of BVS, for every step they took forward, they stumbled back two more as well. Throughout this electrifying scene, the movie almost seemed to cut back and forth between the movie about Bruce Wayne getting through the city and a commercial for the brand new 2016 Jeep. Ooh, did you see that turn? Oh, damn, look at that traction control. It might have just been me, but it took me out of the scene until they'd finished shoving the Jeep's newly designed taillights down my throat a couple more times. All of this is happening while Bruce is calling into Wayne Tower because apparently nobody thought to evacuate when they saw the 4 buildings down the block tumble over. No, everybody stay, we got work to do. Not until we get a call from Mr. Wayne. It's unfortunate that these issues exist because this scene gives you exactly what you want from a Batman. You want him to be running into that smoke when everyone else is running away. This is our hero, and this is what he does every day to put his life on the line, just so he can save some people and maybe make the world a little bit better of a place. Not at all like Superman, by the way, a man who in his second movie still hasn't figured out what he's fighting for or what he wants to do with his life. Neither hero is perfect, but Superman could certainly learn some lessons from Batman in this respect. All things considered, though, when we leave Metropolis, we're left with a smoldering Bruce as he cradles a young child he managed to save in all the commotion. This scene was hands down one of the best in the movie and gave the movie a lot of momentum they proceeded to completely waste away. After seeing Metropolis leveled, we might assume that this incident would be the catalyst for a lot of the public hate as well as governmental interest with Superman. This is not the case. Instead, Snyder and company decide to create an entirely new incident surrounding a Lois Lane interview gone wrong in Africa. After Zack Snyder displayed how big of a comic book fan he is by having the unnamed cameraman who's executed be a cameo for Jimmy Olsen, blink or you'll miss it because he's never coming back even though you didn't even know he was there. That's fun, isn't it? No. After Jimmy is domed, the soldiers spray down the rest of the people there and take off. Then Superman shows up and breaks every bone in the guy's body because he had a gun on Lois. Damn, Supes. Maybe just take the gun and give him some kind words of advice. You don't always gotta send him to the hospital. Just saying. After all this, it's Superman who's being blamed by everyone. Never mind the fact that everyone there was killed by gunshots, which should have been obvious proof it wasn't Superman at all. This is just one of the many strange story choices that just didn't even need to be included. One of my biggest problems with BVS is just the editing and the pace of the thing. It seemed more like a slideshow of different scenes with very little connections to one another than it did a movie. One of the only characters who has a clear storyline is Lois Lane, and her storyline is so cliche and ridiculously dumb on the part of the villain, it's cringeworthy to watch. After Africa, we watch Lois Lane tracking down the bad guy. It's gonna be Lex, by the way, because duh. who sent out mercenaries with a specific kind of bullet that can only be tracked back to him. Great plan! Another one of the larger problems in BVS is the abundance of dream sequences, as well as ghost conversations and visions of the future. At least I think that's what they were. None of them were really showcased in a clear manner, and each was more confusing than the last. From Bruce's witnessing of the Flash time traveling into his dream, I guess he can do that now, to Superman's talk with his ghost dad on top of a mountain, these scenes only overstuffed the already bulging film and weakened its narrative thread as it went along. Many of these were just set up for Justice League and were not produced as organically as I would have wanted. So after all the setup, we made it. Superman and Batman are finally gonna face off on the big screen. We finally get to the fight, and there are some good bits and some other bits. We get to see what gadgets Batman brought along to help him fight the Man of Steel, and we get to see Supes walk past most of them. So Bats goes to the trusty kryptonite, and the gas canister and spear he made from the mineral. Seriously? A stick and gas? That's what he came up with? So he uses the kryptonite in gas form, which renders Superman harmless, but wears off after barely any time. He could have been better off throwing a chunk of kryptonite at Superman. At least they can't hurt him as long as it's near him. Making it into gas only hinders its effects. But good thing he has a spear, I guess. After they punch for a bit, it seems Batman has him right where he wants him, and as he makes the decision to plunge the spear into Superman's heart, Superman tells him, "Save Martha." Martha? Batman is reduced to a blubbering baby in a matter of seconds upon hearing his mommy's name, and immediately forgets every reason he had for fighting Superman because, how bad can he be? His mom sounds cool anyways. So now they're mates. Yep, it's over. This is how it's resolved. No, I'm serious. I could hardly believe it. But we've got bigger problems anyways, because Lex Luthor just made an evil bodybuilding troll, whose first action is to immediately try and take off Lex Luthor's head. Great plan. Great plan. This bodybuilding troll is Doomsday, of course, because DC wanted to make 5 movies in their first movie and just couldn't wait to tell any story, so get ready to hear all of them. Get ready to hear the Rush Death of Superman arc at the end of your Dark Knight Returns adaptation and Batman v Superman movie, along with your necessary helping of Justice League setup and Man of Steel retraction. So in order to stop Doomsday, it'll take all 3 of our heroes to stop him. Wonder Woman decides not to get on a plane and comes to join the battle, to which Batman and Superman both wonder, who's she even with? Even though he just emailed her and she is clearly with him. Come on, Bats. So Wonder Woman and Superman start punching and slicing away at Doomsday while Batman hangs out by some rubble and watches from afar. But their attacks won't hurt it, and they need the kryptonite spear. Well, where is it? Oh, Lois Lane just threw it down a well. Oh, thanks, Lois. But she'll go get it. No, wait, she's drowning. Yep, now Superman has to leave the final battle to go get her. And, while you're there, you might as well swim down to get the only thing that can kill you, and kind of float, kind of drown back up. Now this moment would have been perfect to introduce Aquaman. I felt like they were setting it up in the film, but they just never picked up what they set down. Imagine him coming out of that water with the one weapon they need to destroy this unstoppable force. It would have been perfect. But no, we'll just see him float around in an email, I guess. Either way, now they have the spear. Superman is clearly ruled out, but Wonder Woman can totally use it. In fact, she's probably well versed in spear warfare, right? Wait, Superman's doing it? Okay, but how far can he really throw it since it weakens him? Wait, he's not going to throw it? He's just going to slowly fly with it in his hands? How can he even fly with it right there? Does he think it's a dagger? So many questions, but questions do tend to arise when the only reason he had to do it is because he fights Doomsday, he has to die. So bypass whatever logic you have, so he ends up in the right place at the right time. So Superman dies. When he kills Doomsday, he's stabbed by his little swordy hand, and he dies as well. Except he doesn't, because this is a summer blockbuster starring Superman, so he might take a nap for a while, but he'll be back by the credits, won't he? Yep. Well, if floating dirt on top of a coffin translates to life for Superman, which it is clearly supposed to, but I'm still bewildered as to how that should actually tell us he's coming back to life. Although I doubt that mattered to Zack Snyder. After all, he is primarily a visual director, and that visual did look great. It just didn't make much sense, which is kind of Zack Snyder in a nutshell. Now that we've gone through some of the good and the bad of the plot and how things fit together, I'd like to go through each character individually to see how they fare within the film.
Now, since this is the sequel to Man of Steel, let's go ahead and start with Superman himself. Superman as a whole is barely in this movie. I mean, we get to see him flying around and saving people during that one montage, and he sure does love punching just like the first one. But not half as much as he loves being a loner and sulking. What, you thought he'd have some character growth and maybe get over that after his first movie? Nope. Same old, same old. I wish I was exaggerating, but Superman only has 42 lines in the whole movie, and it was supposed to be his sequel. Now, I've been talking a lot of negative so far, and that's for a reason, but I did enjoy parts of this movie. For example, both Superman and Batman look great and move better on screen than all of their former on-screen counterparts. Some of the best parts of Superman in this movie have him dealing with Lois Lane. I thought the part where he hopped in the tub with her was incredibly romantic and really cute. It really just helped encapsulate a lot of their relationship in just a quick little scene. Another great Superman moment was when the Batmobile ran into him when he was just standing there and the thing broke. I mean, we just had this whole great scene about how indestructible the Batmobile was, and Superman doesn't even throw a kick at it and the thing's leveled. Thought that was amazing. I loved Clark being at Lex's party and suddenly hearing Alfred's voice over the communicator into Batman's ear. It was just a little touch that makes sense for his character, but that I hadn't thought they would use, and that I'm really glad they did, as well as the X-ray vision he used to see where Batman was going once he went underground. There's also a great moment during the fight when the kryptonite started wearing off and Superman's face started taking less and less damage until he was just standing there mean-mugging Batman. And then Batman starts backing up because he knows all hell's about to break loose. I thought that was awesome. Unfortunately, there were some Superman things in this movie that I wasn't as on board with. For example, when he gave in to Luthor after he kidnapped his mom, I mean, he could have saved her from anywhere on the planet in 10 minutes, let alone Gotham and Metropolis. Of all the reasons for Superman to fight Batman, that's what they came up with. It seemed that coming into the movie, they would be at odds because of ideological differences, which would have been fascinating to watch how they would resolve these issues. Don't even get me started on Martha. As well as giving the audience a chance to sympathize with two opposite and opposing viewpoints. But instead, they just kind of force Superman's hand into the fight, so it's not really Batman v Superman. It's Lex Luthor says Batman v Superman, which isn't exactly what I wanted when I walked into the theater. Another one of the strange things that Superman chose in this movie was to let the government take control of the crashed Kryptonian ship. I mean, I would have thought that after that thing crashed in the city, I don't know, he'd pick it up and take it back to his Fortress of Solitude or whatever. But I guess you can just let that highly weaponized technology from another planet fall into anybody's hands. Who cares, right? I mean, that is this Superman's motto. Who cares whatever happened to that silly old Kryptonian ship? Or Zod's body, for that matter. I mean, I can save everyone on this planet because of the powers I've been granted, but I mean, who really cares? Sure, the Senate just blew up, and people think it's my fault, but who cares? I'm gonna go walk around in the Alps. Yeah, those people did just get shot up in Africa when I came to save Lois, and everyone seems to think I did it, but, you know, who cares? I'm just gonna hop in a tub. It's whatever. Now, I just have one more thing about Superman before we move on to some of the other characters. When Superman goes to talk to Bats about helping him save his mom, he does not try hard enough. He shows up, and he says, "Bruce, stop, we have to talk." And then he gets shot by some bullets because, yeah, Batman thinks he has to kill you. But those didn't hurt you, so, I mean, just walk it off and then go talk to the man. Or just push him 50 yards and antagonize him even more. What are you doing, dude? He didn't even try to talk to him. Every time he got closer to him, he just punched him or flew him through a building. I mean, he never really took the time to explain the situation until he was on his back with a kryptonite spear at his neck. Next time, maybe you just start with Martha, okay? Batman is far and away the best part of Batman v Superman. His suit moves better than it has in any of his former reincarnations, and his voice is better than anything Bale tried to do in the Dark Knight trilogy. Batman is incredibly imposing in this film, and Affleck is the first Batman to truly fill the screen with this kind of presence, much akin to how Batman would fill the panels of a comic book. But Batman isn't the same without mentioning his alter ego, and Affleck plays Bruce Wayne well enough, although this Wayne isn't like those we've seen before. He's had a long career of putting away the bad guys, and at this point, he is damaged goods, to put it politely. He drinks heavily, as Alfred puts it, and apparently his only friends are Alfred and the faceless women he takes home to the lake house. He is deeply isolated in his mission, which is classic Batman and a welcome sight. I only wish he could have used more of his detective skills and was placed in a more competent movie. But I can say I can't wait to see what Batfleck is going to do when he gets out from under Zack Snyder's wing. Batman also has the two best scenes in the entire movie. The first being the opening in Metropolis, and the second being the warehouse hostage rescue, which is hands down the best pure action Batman scene put to film. The fluidity of his motions and the ruthlessly calculating actions he takes in the scene are amazing to watch and feel ripped right out of a comic book. All of this said, there is one fatal flaw in the creation of this Batman. He is a straight-up serial killer. No other way to put it. Not that any of these on-screen Batman haven't killed on screen, but at least they have the subtlety to disguise most of these kills in ways that almost got Batman off the hook. In BVS, he just straight murders people. He'll blow up your whole truck with a Gatling gun. He doesn't care. On one hand, I like the idea that this seasoned Batman has lost all hope and all grasp on the only code that separated him from being one of the criminals that he puts away every night. However, the movie never really earned any of these ideas. The only time this idea is even hinted at is when Alfred is talking about how Bruce has gone off the rails a bit lately, but that's referring more to the branding he's begun doing. Which, while on the subject, I don't understand why branding a criminal would translate to a death sentence for them. Why would other criminals feel the need to kill somebody who Batman put in jail? Wouldn't that mean they're closer to being allies? Whatever, but with this new kill everyone attitude, I don't know how they're going to justify Joker still alive. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with, possibly in Suicide Squad. So I've shied away from Lex Luthor for most of this video, and that's because I haven't had that much positive things to say about him. The only thing I can really say is that he went for it. I mean, Jesse Eisenberg went all out in a direction. I just don't think it was the right direction. He seemed like he was just playing Mark Zuckerberg times the Joker, which isn't Lex Luthor. It was kind of strange to me. Not to mention, most of his plans were pretty terrible. I mean, Superman could have just saved his mom. That was pretty dumb. He didn't even use the kryptonite. Batman just stole it from him. And he used specifically made bullets that were tracked back to him in Africa. He also completely wasted his sidekick and let her just walk into that Senate meeting. I mean, he just let her die. She never even had a line of dialogue, and she was dead. And finally, his motivation in this movie was based solely around the fact that his dad hit him as a kid, and he had a painting. And he wanted to turn the painting upside down. Okay, Lex. Nice try. Oh, he's bald now? Yeah, sorry, I already don't care. You already ruined him. Next up is the perennial damsel in distress, Lois Lane, who isn't a lady. She's a journalist. She did a lot of journalizing in this movie, taking helicopters to DC and to Gotham and all over the place, and she got to track back some bullets to Lex Luthor. That was all fine, I guess. It didn't really catch me that much. In between that, she was doing some good damsel in distressing in Africa. She fell off a building and she drowned. Those were all fine. She also threw away the one weapon that could kill Doomsday. That was not helpful, but I mean, they ended up getting it back, so it's okay. I don't have much to say about Lois. She did what she was asked to, and she did a great job at the romance with Clark. I liked those parts when there were some. I liked the tub scene. I thought that was romantic and cute. But she wasn't asked to do much, and she did her job. And she was fine. She was fine. Doomsday's in this movie too. I don't know why, but he is. I thought he was rather bland. I've called him a bodybuilding troll. I've seen a lot of people call him a beefed up Ninja Turtle. The main point is he just wasn't that original. He was just kind of a green CGI monster. I thought if they'd actually had him talk a little more, he could have developed more of a personality, and we could have actually grown to hate him as an audience, rather than just see him as an obstacle that has to be conquered. He wasn't given much to do, but he did fulfill his job of killing Superman, which is pretty much the only thing he ever does. I liked that he kept evolving into his more comic book state. I wish they'd taken that a little further, and maybe he could have got his stabby hand sooner. Just more in general, I think, would have been better for Doomsday. If you're gonna do him, at least do him right. But he was only there for one reason, and he completed that reason. So I guess it was fine. Next up is Batman's favorite butler, Alfred. Alfred, I thought, was really funny. Or at least he's supposed to be really funny. I didn't totally love his jokes, but I can totally see how people would. I love a sarcastic Alfred, though, don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of him being a mechanic as well as a butler. I would have loved that since Batman's been doing this for 20 years, maybe he could have an oracle, or maybe he could have a bigger Bat family help him out, instead of forcing Alfred to just do everything. I mean, dude's fixing the Bat helmet, he's fixing the Batmobile, he's making him dinner, he's doing, like, everything? Are you serious? Come on. Alfred doesn't need to be doing all that. You need to get some other help, man. Overall, I thought Jeremy Irons did great as Batman's Alfred. I thought he was a really good moral compass, and he brought in some interesting questions to Batman that I don't know if every Alfred would have had the cojones to do. I'm excited to see where he goes from here and what he can become. Last but not least, unless you're talking about screen time, is Wonder Woman. One of the most famous female superheroes of all time is finally getting her on-screen debut. Even if it is a very small part in an already overstuffed movie, I'm just glad we finally get to see her. She has some great moments when she's not suited up, when she's just talking to Bruce, playing a sort of game of cat and mouse with him, which I thought was fantastic. She also had some great moments when she was in the suit, when she was fighting Doomsday with just no holds barred, the line she has that I've killed things from other worlds before. I think it gets us interested in her, but also shows us that she's strong in her own right. Some of the only problems I had with Wonder Woman were her motivation within the movie. She says she's trying to get a picture that Lex Luthor has of her. I don't know why she wants this picture. I don't know what damage Lex Luthor can really do with a picture from 1918 of her. I mean, you can just say, yeah, that's weird. That looks like me, but, I mean, that's not me. There's plenty of pictures online of Pharrell, but he's not immortal, is he? Is he? Anyways, I think she did a great job, and I'm excited to see what she's going to do with her own solo movie in the future. Now, I've spent a lot of time talking about BVS, so overall, I'd like to just lay it out all on the line. I felt there were some small parts that worked really well in this movie, but unfortunately these parts weren't the focus of this already overstuffed film. Hopefully DC can learn from this movie and try to bring these characters back to their comic book roots. I'd probably give this a 4.6 out of 10. All the Batman stuff was great. The little bit of Wonder Woman we got was fun. I thought Lex Luthor was a terrible villain who was almost as terrible a villain as Doomsday was, and Superman was barely in his own sequel. Hey guys and gals, thank you so much for watching my first ever YouTube video. Please subscribe to my channel. I'd love it if you'd go down there and throw some comments. I'd love to interact with you guys. What did you think of Batman v Superman? Was I too harsh on it? Did I get some things way off? What do you think? Don't worry guys, there's much more to come. I'm going to be doing more movie reviews, maybe TV reviews, Game of Thrones stuff. We'll see. Just throw something in the comments if you'd like to see something. If I get enough suggestions, I might do that. Thank you so much again. Until next time, I'll see you when I see you.